On some days, life gives warnings before something terrible happens. But on this day, there was no warning at all. It happened on a warm afternoon, the kind where sunlight makes everything look calm and friendly. The parking lot of the red-trimmed diner was quiet, almost peaceful. Cars passed slowly. A soft breeze moved the napkins on the outdoor tables. But in the middle of that peaceful scene, a moment of cruelty was unfolding. A young lady named Lena Hart, just 22, stood outside the diner holding a small paper bag of fries. She was slim, gentle, and shy, and she was almost completely deaf, a condition she'd struggled with since childhood. She always came to the diner after her college classes, not for the food, but for the comfort of seeing people around her. Even if she couldn't hear conversations, she could feel the world. It made her feel less lonely. But today, the world didn't feel warm. It felt sharp and dangerous because she wasn't standing alone. She was surrounded. A group of teens, loud, restless, and bored, had circled around her like wolves around prey. Their phones were out. Their smiles were cruel. Their leader, Troy Maddox, held a long fake microphone he used for online prank videos. Lena squinted at their lips, trying to understand. But all she saw was mockery. They exaggerated their mouths. They laughed behind her back. They whispered insults she couldn't hear and recorded every second. She touched her chest and tried to speak slowly. "I can't hear you. I don't understand." But laughing faces moved closer. One girl clapped loudly behind her to test if she was lying. A boy waved his hands in her face. Troy stepped forward and shoved the fake microphone under her chin, pretending to interview her for their channel. Lena stepped back, her eyes wide, her fingers shaking as she held her fries tighter. She tried again to ask for space, to tell them she wanted to leave. But Troy didn't stop. He nudged her shoulder. Not too hard, but enough to break her balance. Her feet slipped, her fries fell, and she hit the ground. Her palms scraped the pavement. Her phone slid away. Her heartbeat thundered in her chest, loud enough to drown out the silent world around her. The teens roared with laughter, filming her pain like it was a joke. Cars drove by. People watched. No one stepped in. And Lena, she looked small, like someone who had been fighting alone for too long. Then, a sound began. A strange sound. Low, heavy, rolling across the asphalt. At first, no one noticed. Then the ground trembled. Troy stopped laughing. The other teens lowered their phones. The rumble grew deeper, louder, until it filled the entire parking lot. Engines. 9 engines. A formation of motorcycles turned into the diner lot, each one shining with chrome and black steel. They moved in slow, steady lines, not wild, not chaotic, but with purpose. Like a living shield. Their vests read, "Guardians of Solace." A biker group known in the town for protecting elderly people, disabled residents, and anyone the world forgot. At the front rode a tall, broad-shouldered man with a thick white beard braided at the end. His name was Rogan Vale. The moment his eyes fell on the young deaf woman on the ground, something cold and dangerous flickered behind his calm expression. He turned off his bike. The rumble died, but the tension doubled. Rogan stepped forward, each footstep solid, sharp, deliberate. His shadow fell across Troy and the teens like a curtain of warning. The other bikers spread out behind him in a half-circle, completely blocking the teens from Lena. Troy swallowed hard, suddenly unsure of himself. He lifted a hand as if to explain. But before he could speak, Rogan knelt beside Lena, and everything about him changed. His voice softened, his face gentled. He placed a warm, steady hand on her back and helped her sit up. Carefully, so carefully. He picked up the fallen fries and placed them back in her bag. Lena blinked up at him. Confusion came first, then relief, then something deeper, something like gratitude from a heart that wasn't used to protection. Rogan looked at her bruised palms, her trembling fingers, the fear in her eyes, and that was enough. He stood, his face hardened into stone. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He didn't need to. The silence between him and the teens was louder than anything words could deliver. One of his bikers, a woman named Kira Vale, stepped forward and gently signed to Lena. "You're safe. We're here. You're not alone." Lena's breath shook. Then she nodded. Troy lowered his phone. Shame crawled across his face. His friends looked away, their earlier bravado collapsing like paper. They had chosen the wrong target. And the wrong day. Rogan finally spoke. Calm, low, steady. "What you did was cruel. Walk away." The teens didn't argue, didn't complain. They left, quietly, phones lowered, faces pale. The world felt different when they were gone. Kira helped Lena to her feet, brushing the dust from her jeans. Rogan placed her phone back into her hand like returning something precious. Then they guided her inside the diner. The staff rushed over with concern. They had seen everything but had been too afraid to step in. They offered her a fresh meal, warm tea, and a booth near the window. Rogan didn't sit. He stood at the entrance like a guard, watching the door, watching the parking lot, watching the world. Kira stayed beside Lena, signing slowly and gently, keeping her calm until her shaking stopped. Little by little, Lena's fear faded. Her breathing eased. Her hands steadied. And for the first time in a long while, she felt safe. Halfway through her meal, Lena reached out and touched Rogan's hand. The big man looked surprised, but he leaned closer so she could read his lips. He said only 3 words. "You're not alone." Her eyes softened. A small smile lifted her lips, and a tear, just one, fell down her cheek. Not from sadness, but from relief. The restaurant was quiet, peaceful again. But something had changed. Where cruelty stood earlier, kindness now filled the space. Where fear lived, courage had arrived. Where a young woman trembled, strength now held her up. Before leaving, the bikers made sure Lena had someone to call, someone to walk her home, someone to check on her later. They didn't leave until they were sure she was truly okay. And when they finally rode off, the rumble of their engines felt different. Not frightening, not loud, but comforting. Like thunder guarding the sky. If the story touched your heart today, please like, share, and subscribe. Stories like this remind us that even in broad daylight, kindness can show up in the most unexpected ways and completely change a life. Before you go, drop a kind message in the comments. You never know. Someone who needs it might be reading. Because on that bright afternoon, where cruelty tried to win, 9 bikers with brave hearts turned the world back toward kindness and proved that compassion, when it rises, is stronger than anything else.